love this farm so much that my great 11 generations back grandfather came over here from Haddam. He'd originally come down the river and started his farm in Haddam, but he discovered how terribly rocky and unyielding the soil was. But he found a nice, high, fertile plain over here, east of the Creek Row settlement, because a few of the men had settled on this side of the river. Because he had gotten this 104 square miles from King Charles 2 years before that, actually. So these were a bunch of very hardworking, dedicated men, and this dedication to the land has followed through in all the generations since, and I want to keep it. I want to keep this going and have this land available for any of my future grandchildren, great-grandchildren, etc., to have an enterprise here on this farm. This land is very precious to me because I know so many of my ancestors have poured their essence of their life into this farm, starting back 11 generations. And it was hard many times. It was hard for us. Many farmers never have a completely easy road. They have to go through a lot of adversity, but they stick with it and they keep going. And farming isn't going to ever make anybody superbly rich, but the life that you can give your children is superbly rich. And I don't know, they get a good feeling, connection to the earth, connection to animals, and an appreciation for what hard work gets you. Well, I haven't had any problem unless it was when I got a divorce and I tried to get a loan back in the late 60s, early 70s. They wouldn't even look at me. That was depressing. I couldn't even get a credit card. My kids coming out of college could get a credit card easily, and I couldn't get one because I never put anything in my name. I never paid any debts back in my name. And so now that's changed, thank goodness. Girls can be just as entrepreneurial as boys, or almost, I think. But at the time, it was difficult. I was very upset when they put those 17 houses in there. It wasn't very good land, but they could build a house on it, so I couldn't control everything, and I'm so sorry I didn't spend the $550 on that in 1951 instead of buying 2 heifers. But those 2 heifers were a marvelous bloodline, so I was happy I had them. And so keeping the rest of this land, most of this land is pretty good land. And it's a pretty farm too. And I just could not see it being ruined by putting industrial complexes here. And you know, we have to worry so much about our water quality. We have another industrial park about a mile south of us. And they discovered that all these industries that were there were very badly polluting the water. And this is something we really have to look at, because most of the manufacturers don't give a hoot about the land and the freshness of the water and everything. But I think in the long run, it's not going to be wars about oil, it's going to be wars about water, because we are squandering our supply of potable water. We are using it to frack, which is spending billions of gallons of water to get a few gallons of gas or whatever they're taking out of the land. But that is so short-sighted, and our government should do something about that. Water is very precious. Good land is very precious. We have squandered our land. You cannot use arable land, and we have just been the land of the plenty. We've squandered the most fertile valley on the planet was the Connecticut River Valley, and you rarely can find anything but development now as you drive along. they were all on board with it, and that made me really happy. There wasn't one of those kids that said, I want my money, I don't want to put it for future generations. All of them were on board with it. They wanted to keep this as our precious farm, who's been 11, now they're going to be 12 generations and 13 generations. And hopefully if this country is still here in 300 years, there'll be some of my progeny living here and getting a living off of it. Keep the farm and give away the development rights, because this is what we can do. And if you have a farm and you want to keep it a farm, that's the only way to do it that I can see. And this is what I've done, and I hope other people will look at their land and say, this is what we ought to do. Even if their next generation isn't interested in it, I bet there's a generation beyond that that will get an idea and say, I want to farm. Because being a farmer lets you raise your kids in the absolute best atmosphere that you can do. This is the treasure that is not monetary, that's so important. By preserving the land and preserving the opportunity to farm, you're giving this legacy of this wonderful gift of training the kids to have a work ethic and enjoy doing the work they do and working together and all the things that farmers' kids do.